Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Aotearoa by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
Super excited to have Grant Rix with me today, who is from Pause, Breathe, Smile, which you may know, but is actually Aotearoa's first mindfulness in schools program. It's a national program. We have loved it for so long now, and it's all about building calm, kind, connected, resilient minds for our tamariki. Thanks for joining us for Being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology. Kia ora, Grant. So beautiful to have you with me.
Great to be here, Anna.
What a pleasure.
Kia ora.
Yeah. You and I have worked together on and off and for many years, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, because of that schools connection that we keep, and wellbeing connection. And yeah. So nice to be back in touch, actually.
It's great. Good to see your face again. Hear your voice.
Thank you. So tell me about you and tell me about Pause, Breathe, Smile. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, so I guess, I've been involved with mindfulness related work since I was 22. So it's a long time now, most of my life, and really threw myself in there for personal reasons. I guess like a lot of young people had a lot of anxiety issues, social anxiety, and other struggles, and wanted to find ways to work with that and manage that well. And also always had, a lot of curiosity about how the mind works. And and that led me down the path of a psychology degree at the same time. But yeah, did a lot of retreat work and a lot of training and study under really good teachers. Never really anticipating that it would lead to anything in the professional realm. But as I got involved with health promotion work, first in public health and then in mental health, at the same time, really, mindfulness was becoming the fastest area of mind science research. Neuroscientists and psychologists were all really interested in its benefits and seeing the benefits, and internationally as well, education was starting to become an area of focus for quite obvious reasons, really. We ask kids to pay attention in schools, but we never actually teach them how to do that, whereas mindfulness is all about learning how to regulate our attention, to know where our minds are, to kind of know what our attention is getting up to, because it can get us into trouble if we're not really mindful of that. And having that skill to be able to come back onto task, when we're off task. And that's good for learning, but as it happens, it has a whole range of social and emotional well-being benefits as well. Yeah. So anyway, the mindfulness practice and training background and the studies in psychology and health promotion work all kind of led to this place where I had this opportunity to write this program, Pause, Breathe, Smile, and that began at the Mental Health Foundation about 12 years ago, and it's all rolled out from there. We now run it independently, but still with a relationship with the Mental Health Foundation. But we run it independently through the Pause, Breathe, Smile Charitable Trust, which is just fully focused on getting this program into primary and intermediate schools.
And so what does that look like in terms of getting it into? So that's you building relationships with schools or them asking and requesting for this to come through?
Yeah, I mean, like anything, you've got to advertise and put yourself out there, and it's fully optional for
Yeah.
schools. We often say it's for any primary and intermediate school who wants it, because you've got to want it, for it to really work and to work well. So it's quite interesting. When we first began, it was just quite a, I don't know, beautiful moment in time where we put the word out there to a few schools, really. And to be honest, I was really just interested in whether it worked or not. Didn't really have a plan beyond seeing research results. But we teamed up with researchers from AUT and then eventually also from Auckland University to run 3 formal studies of the program in the beginning, and it was very easy to get schools on board. And it was because they're living every day seeing kids experiencing anxiety, experiencing stress that they really don't need to be experiencing or shouldn't be subjected to, trauma, all of these things. And the schools kind of jumped at the opportunity, and those 3 studies really produced great results. We saw greater, calmer classrooms. We saw kids adopting more pro-social behaviors, so, being kinder to each other, feeling more connected. They were resolving conflicts among themselves without adult intervention, which was a really great finding, because we don't actually focus on conflict resolution as part of the program, but we do focus on self-regulation and, emotional management and practicing kindness and all of those great things. And the outcome of that just flows into all sorts of areas. Increased focus and attention in the classroom. And then we also use some measures of well-being, and found statistically significant increases in childhood well-being that were related to significant increases in mindfulness.
You're listening to Being Real Parents on Plains Media, broadcasting on 96.9 FM, streaming live and available as a podcast on plains.org.nz.
It's amazing, isn't it, that there's so many unexpected results from working with tamariki around mindfulness, hey? Like, lessened conflict is surprising but not surprising, I guess, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, because when we're more aware of who we're being, the actions we're taking, our mood or our, emotions in that time, of course that's going to support us when we come to challenging situations.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science in that sense. It's one of those things with mindfulness is it's really simple to understand. It's harder to do, because we run up against our habits, which wandering minds and, quick to react to situations and things like that. So it does take training, just like anything else. But we know that, with training and with practice, it gets increasingly easier and easier. You master it like any skill. And I think that's one, a really important point too for anyone who is interested in mindfulness practice for themselves or for tamariki, is that it's not just about 1 or 2 techniques every now and then. And, the beauty of Pause, Breathe, Smile is that it's designed where each lesson scaffolds off the last lesson and keeps building and developing those skills over time. And, so along with the formal lessons, which are structured originally around 8 lessons. Now, we've got follow-on lessons and other activities and things. But those 8 lessons were really about helping tamariki to learn basic mindfulness skills and then applying those skills to areas that are really important for overall well-being. So, really building a healthy relationship with our bodies for a start. It's kind of the first step in mindfulness. One of the kind of most popular techniques, I suppose, is mindful breathing. So and that's a good one where breathing's always with us, and so it's always available, and it's always a chance to kind of take a pause in the midst of what's going on and to notice the breath. And we know through research that when we pay attention to our breathing consciously or mindfully, that the nervous system starts to self-regulate, and the brain, really, the body and the brain learn that there's no need to be on high alert in that moment. There's no need for the fight-flight response to be triggered, unless we're in some kind of physical danger, but often it's our own anxiety that triggers it. So by, turning away from that into the breathing, the body learns, there's actually no danger here. I don't need to be on high alert, and the nervous system self-regulates, and we have that kind of calming response. So anyway, we sort of start there, and then as awareness develops, self-awareness develops, then we can apply that to areas like learning how to regulate emotions really well. And that's a big focus in Pause, Breathe, Smile. So emotions are, there's often thoughts that trigger them. There's mental stories that accompany them. But fundamentally, they're a physiological change that happens in the body. So heart pounds when we're feeling upset, and, maybe tears come and we feel hot and flushed with anger and all of these things. And so if you've got awareness of your body and you're more in touch with the sensations of the body, you can see those changes occurring. And if you've got skills that you've been learning, like, we talk about dropping anchor with mindful breathing in the midst of that wave of emotion, and allowing it to pass, because emotions they're energy in motion, they're waves, they are passing through. And so it's about learning how to not become overwhelmed and carried away with them, and instead managing ourselves back to a place of balance and calm. So we focus a lot around that, noticing how we're feeling, and really just giving the message to kids that however you're feeling, it's okay to feel that way. It's not okay to, act it out. It's not okay to go and hit someone when you're angry. That's the reaction to how you're feeling. But it's important not to deny the actual feeling, because that's what's present. And if we deny it, it just kind of gets worse. But if we're accepting of it, and we can name it, like neuroscientists say, if you can name it, you can tame it. This is anger, and it's okay to feel this way. And then use skills like mindful breathing to drop anchor and help move out of our red zone back into our green zone, which is some of the language we use in the program. Then, we can allow it to pass. And there's some beautiful, to just add here that, I was in a classroom once, and a journalist was there interviewing the kids, young kids, about 6, 7 years old. And the journalist asked this one little girl, how does mindfulness help you? And without missing a beat, she said, when I'm upset, I let myself feel sad, and then I can feel happy again. And, I don't know if there was dust in the room, but I kind of maybe had to turn away for a moment when I heard that, because, it was right on the money, really. That's what we really want to see and hear. and we know, she had strategies and she was using mindful breathing. But just that thing of noticing how you're feeling, accepting it, and understanding that it's moving through. It's such a huge skill when it comes to well-being that we all need to practice and learn.
Absolutely.
And the same with like our thinking, so we move from there into helping tamariki to understand that thoughts are not facts, they're just thoughts. And actually they're moving through in the same way as everything else. And with the help of mindfulness, we can discern what is a healthy thought and worth encouraging and what is an unhealthy thought, and developing the skills to let that go. And then building kindness with others and connections to the natural world. That's really what the program is all about.
I love that, and there obviously must be dust in this room too, because I started to tear up as you said that too, from that little girl. But what I'm noticing is that the mindfulness that these kids have available to them is allowing them to trust themselves and recognise, because they've got skills in order to support themselves, but realise that emotions are safe. They're actually safe, and they can't. We don't have to be scared of them, which often is behind behaviour as well. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's not that we necessarily say this exactly to kids, but I think for us as adults, really understanding that life is vulnerable by nature, because everything's sort of in relationship with everything else. So that creates a dynamic, everything's dynamic, which means it's always shifting and changing. And, we get ourselves into trouble when we're just trying to chase after pleasant experiences and deny or get away or wish that unpleasant experiences weren't happening. And actually, when we just turn to life, turn up for it completely and fully, we understand that it all has the same nature of being impermanent, changing, passing through. And if we've got skills that we can draw upon, then we can find peace, in the midst of whatever it is. Enjoy the pleasant while it's present, and then allow it to move on, and really turn up for our suffering states and actually care for them, attend to them with kindness and compassion. And that's that's what we're hoping to instill in kids early on. And actually, they can be better at this than adults are, because they don't have necessarily, this is not 100% true, but a large degree, they don't have all the emotional baggage that we've collected through a lifetime. So if we can help them young enough, the results are amazing. And they take this home and they share it with their parents.
Love that.
And
I was going to ask.
That's great, because we don't set homework. So for me, that's one of the signs. It's one of the signs that it's working when kids take it home and they're actually doing it at home and sharing it. It shows that they value.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that in terms of how would parents know that their tamariki are doing Pause, Breathe, Smile at school, but probably more interesting. I mean, sharing it is an incredible thing, and for parents, enjoy that, learn from your kids, and that's extraordinary. But I wondered about those of us who haven't had the pleasure yet of our children having Pause, Breathe, Smile through their school or kuda, and how we might bring this into their ordinary days and support them in this way without them having that kind of more structured training.
Yeah, well, we've developed an app which is freely available, It's just called Pause, Breathe, Smile. So you can find it on any app store, and there's a whole bunch of mindfulness practices on there that are good for adults and obviously too a whole lot for kids. And the sleep ones are really popular, we're finding. So we've got a bunch that are really help you, particularly if your little ones are you know experiencing anxiety at night or anything like that. Playing one of these tracks and doing it along with them can really help.
That's really cool. I didn't know that you had an app, so that's cool. I'll be downloading that. Nice.
Yeah, and we're in the process of having all of the meditations on there translated into Te Reo Māori. So most of them are, and we just, as we write them, we get them translated as well, so they're available bilingually.
And then we're also working with our children on poku breathing, so to support them to understand how their breath can help them to relax and calm.
Yeah, the main practice in Pause, Breathe, Smile is called straight back, soft belly, and we keep coming back to that all the time to, really help tamariki understand that relationship between the mind and the body. And with like particularly young kids at home, you can get a little breathing buddy, like a little soft toy or something like that, their favorite soft toy, and place that on their belly and get them to notice it going up and down as they breathe in and breathe out. And, that really helps them to tune into that. Some of the other things we do in the program that are good hooks for kids are drawing your breath, so like a wave, drawing a line up as you breathe in and back down as you breathe out. And it just gives kids an additional hook, something else to focus on to help them notice their breathing, and just really simple things like that.
Nice.
But the main thing particularly is, if we really want to support our tamariki to be mindful and to regulate emotions well, is it starts with us as adults, as parents, as caregivers. That's the biggest factor. It's the biggest determinant of childhood well-being is the relationship that children have with the adults in their lives. They soak up everything, and as we know, those of us who are parents know, they're hearing everything, they're seeing everything, they're really well tuned in. So if we want them to be mindful, modeling it ourselves, learning how to regulate our emotions, taking a pause in that moment when we're feeling triggered by something, our kids' behavior or something else that's happening, rather than just giving into our normal habitual response, taking a moment to pause and to breathe and to notice how we're feeling in our bodies, and to just, do the work of calming anything unhelpful, and then responding with awareness rather than reacting impulsively. That's really the key here.
Dropping anchor, yeah.
Dropping anchor.
That is incredible advice, some of which I'm aware I absolutely need to take on board myself more.
It's a lifelong practice for all of us.
Yeah. I'm noticing how stressed I am at the moment and how that's coming into my world. And so it's just beautiful to talk to you. If parents are like me right now and going, how do I get this into my child's school? What am I doing?
Go straight to the principal.
Yeah.
They're the best port of call, or DPs often in a lot of cases, and just get in their ear and see if they've got it, and direct them to our website, pausebreathesmile.nz, And we can take it from there really, or you can also just email us directly. Yeah, you'll find all that detail on the website, and then we can liaise with the school
Nice.
to see about getting it in there. And it's totally free.
Wow.
There's no costs, there's no hidden costs, and that is thanks to the funding support of Southern Cross Healthcare. So they've been funding this program since 2020. And they initially were going to fund it for 3 years, and here we are in coming up to the end of the 5th year, and we've still got funding for another couple of years.
Amazing.
So they've been amazing supporters.
So good. That feels really easy and doable, and that it's free thanks to the lovely Southern Cross Healthcare is extraordinary, hey? Yeah. Unheard of.
We wouldn't be. We're in over 500 schools now nationwide, and we definitely would not be without the support of Southern Cross.
Love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Grant. It has been an absolute pleasure reconnecting with you and hearing more about your mahi.
Wise.
Totally going to download the app and be in further touch with you and around this work. And, yeah, go well. Just keep being amazing.
You, Anna. Really, really great to be in contact again. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing.